Hare Krishna. Today we're reading from Bhagavad Gita chapter 5, slok number 3, 5.3. Oh, here Krishna is saying that one who neither hates nor desires the fruit of his activities is known to be always renounced. Such a person, free from all dualities, easily overcome material bondage and is completely liberated, O mighty Arjuna. So on this same topic, Bapuji also actually spoke a lot about Karam, Akaram, and Vikaram. So on our activities, on our what actions, what we are performing. So over here Krishna is talking about one who neither hates nor desires the fruits of his activities. So someone had just asked this question that how can we do something and not be attached to the fruit? Sometimes we do it for the fruit. Right? So how can we perform our actions and not have any desire for the fruit, for the outcome? Because we're doing it to get some outcome. Right? But one thing we all need to understand that when we are acting without the desire for the fruit, that means what are we doing? We are performing that action for Krishna. We're leaving the fruit upon him and in fact giving the fruit to him that Krishna, whatever you want to happen, you make it happen. I am just doing the best I can. Remember, in every sort of, before we take any action, right, our mind, sometimes it it helps us or it prevents us from taking such actions. But what is helping the mind is the consciousness inside. Right? There's the consciousness that helps us make those decisions. And today in people, you will see that that consciousness is just not there. Because whenever we have to do something, let's say if you see that, okay, no one is looking, maybe I should just take a few fruits from the store. Or maybe I should just break the signal, this red signal, and just go away, right? Nobody's watching. But at that time, if our consciousness, right, Bapuji gave this example and he tied our consciousness to the signal light, red, yellow, and green. That is equal to karam, akaram, and vikaram. So to perform some actions, sometimes our consciousness prevents us. We know that this action we should not be doing. Our consciousness inside, it raises the red flag. It tells us we should not be performing this action. Whatever it is, you have many examples of it. But we should not be performing an action. So our consciousness raises a red flag. But at that time, we become the biggest lawyer and we try and convince our consciousness that why I want to do this, that no one will get hurt out of this, nothing bad will come out of this. But that is not the case. When our consciousness is preventing us from performing any action, at that time, we should not perform that action. We should listen because our consciousness is giving us the red light, is telling us to stop. We should stop that action right there. But if we do not listen to that and we move forward, then we have to bear the consequences. Just like how when we are driving and if we cross a light which is a red, we go through an intersection with the light which is red. A lot of times there's camera set up and they send you a fine in the mail. Right? Sometimes that fine comes in 20 days, sometimes 30 days, sometimes 40 days, but it has everything. It has the car details, the license plate, who was driving, and everything. And they say, please pay this much fine by this date because you went through a red light on this date and time. But when we perform these actions by not listening to the red light that our consciousness is telling us, then we have to suffer for that at some point in the future. Because our consciousness, remembers, aligned with Krishna. In fact, it is Krishna guiding us from inside through that consciousness. But these days, right, it is very hard to hear the consciousness. It is very hard. The new generation does not even know what this consciousness is about. They do not know that, okay, that this is right, this is wrong, because the Kali Yuga is continuing to grow so much. They do not understand what is the consciousness, right? What is happening? What is right, what is wrong? That is the state we have got into today. So it is very hard for the next generation to figure out and listen to that consciousness. We all know that killing a living being is very bad. In fact, there was a video recently where people are saying, do you think that this chicken is a living being, that it has a soul? Do you think this bird that is flying is a living being? Does it have a soul? Then when you go to catch them or trap them or you shoot something, they hear a gunshot, why do they get afraid and start running? Because they love their life just as much as we love our life. So as this consciousness starts getting lower and lower, the Kali Yuga is getting stronger and stronger, and it is growing. And that noise, that consciousness inside us, that voice that tells us, okay, do this, don't do this, it is awakened. Sometimes they tell us, but we cannot listen to it. Just like how sometimes when we sleep in the night, we keep an alarm. Let's see, if I need to wake up at 5 o'clock, if I keep an alarm for 5 o'clock, but I'm so tired and I'm so sleepy, and I'm sleeping, right, that I just cannot hear it. I just cannot hear it. Then I just keep on sleeping and sleeping, and I sleep through it. Even the alarm stops ringing after few minutes. And then we sleep through, and then we wake up at 9, 10 a.m. Then we say, oh my God, what happened? So such is the consciousness within us. It is that voice. Sometimes we are so much into this material world and so much into the activities that we do not even listen to that voice. We cannot hear it. So first is that red light. Our conscious tells us, okay, don't do it. And the second is like, just like the signal light, it's like a yellow light. That means it's questionable whether we should do this action or not. And at that time, we should hold back. Rather than performing that action, speak to the elders, speak to our parents, speak to a sadhu, speak to our spiritual master, and then take that action. One Sadhu Vaswani, he was sleeping in the night. It was late at night. All of a sudden, a devotee came to his house. And of course, the Sevadaris were at the door. So they said, no, no, Dada is sleeping, so we cannot wake him up at this point. He said, no, no, it is an emergency. And Sadhu Vaswani had given his devotees the instruction, his Sevadaris, that if somebody comes like this late at night with an emergency, just wake me up. So they thought something big has happened. So they woke up Sadhu Vaswani. And then when the devotee, he came, he offered his obeisances and he handed an envelope. Right? He handed an envelope to Sadhu Vaswani at that point. It was the middle of the night. Sadhu Vaswani looked at, opened that envelope, it was a lot of money. And he told that devotee that you could have given me this in the morning also, this envelope, this donation. Why did you have to wake me up in the middle of the night for this? The devotee said, what if my mind changes by morning? Then I maybe may not give anything or might reduce the amount, or I may not give anything at all. Right? So that he was listening to his consciousness inside, that let me just perform this action right now and not think about what will happen later or anything, because our mind Remember, it constantly keeps changing the positions, or it keeps, helping us, or sometimes not helping us in situations about what we should do. The mind is the biggest friend and it is the biggest enemy too. So you have to learn to train our mind by listening to the consciousness. And then, when we have the yellow light, we should either reconsider that decision by speaking to our parents, elders, spiritual master, sadhus about that decision. And if there is a green light, then you perform that action. But when you are performing that action with the green light, Krishna is saying over here that do not desire the fruits of those activities. Right? You give that fruit to Krishna, that Krishna, as you wish, let that happen. And who are we giving it to? Who are we giving that fruit to? We're giving that fruit to Krishna himself. And who are we? We are all part and parcel of Krishna. So if we're giving it to Krishna, indirectly we're giving it to ourselves. Have you ever thought about that? Indirectly we're giving it to ourselves because Krishna is ours. We are part of Krishna. We're just giving it to ourselves. But when we give it to Krishna, then Krishna adds his mercy onto there, and we don't know what we may get. It is said that sometimes, if we do not even receive what we pray for thousands of times and every single day, just imagine how bad that must be for us, that even after praying for it so much, we are not receiving, Krishna is not giving it to us. So just imagine how bad that must be for us. That's why they say, if it happens according to our will, that is good. But it happens according to the will of God, it is even better. A lot of times you will see that we are constantly praying that Krishna, I want this, I want this, I want this, please give me this. Even after praying so much, we do not receive it. So just imagine how bad it must be for us. But in order to get there, we need to have that trust on Krishna, surrender to Krishna, and of course, always, always remembering Krishna. So one who neither hates nor desires the fruits of his activities. All of the fruits of the activities, whatever you do from now on, just do it for the pleasure of Guru and Krishna. You see how our lives change because we are not doing it for the desire of the fruit. We will do always everything that is right, everything that is a green light in our consciousness. And that pleases Krishna. And then there is no need to ask for anything. Krishna always provides. Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, I provide my devotees whatever they need, and I protect whatever they have. So one who neither hates nor desires the fruits of his activities is known to be always renounced. Imagine, to be renounced is a very big deal. But how do we get to that state? That's what our Guru Maharaj teaches us. Such a person free from all dualities easily overcomes material bondage. Because when you start doing everything for pleasure of Guru and Krishna, and you give all of your fruits of the activities to them, then you are not tied to anything. Right? If you're performing an action to get a son, if you're performing a yagya, a havan to get a son, or that my son gets married, or that my child gets a child, or that my son or daughter gets a baby. So you are performing that actions, that yagya, that puja for that. But just imagine if you're performing a yagya, you're performing chanting, you're performing kirtan, you're performing a puja just for the pleasure of Guru and Krishna. That thank you, Krishna, you have already given me so much. Right? Then that becomes transcendental. When you do something for something in return, that becomes a bondage because then we don't know when our child gets married what may happen, what problems may come, or if they have a grandchild, what problems may come. Right? So such a person free from all dualities easily overcomes material bondage and is completely liberated. Oh, mighty armed Arjuna. So, living in this world, if you're performing all of the actions for Guru and Krishna, right, then we are completely liberated. We are not tied to this world anymore. We're already operating on that higher phase, on that spiritual planet. That is the essence of this. That by staying in this material world, we are still always thinking about Krishna and always performing all activities on that higher level of Krishna consciousness and in that for that spiritual plane, for on that spiritual plane. Right? So we should all work and give all of the fruits of all of our activities to Krishna and leave it to Krishna. Krishna, as you wish, that's what may happen. And remember to the consciousness, the red, yellow, and the green light, and make our decisions accordingly and give the fruit of all of that to Krishna. We'll end, then we'll continue tomorrow. Before we end, we'll chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Shri Shri Radha Vrindavan Chandra Bihari Lal Ki Jai Nitai Gaur Hari Bol Jai Jai Shri Radhe Jai Jai Shri Radhe Jai Jai Shri Radhe Hare Krishna.